Hello and welcome to another puzzle challenge video with chessuniversity.com. This is Ryan Murphy and I'm presenting first the solution to yesterday's puzzle challenge, and then we'll move on to the new stuff for today, which will be the hardest puzzle of the week. This position is black to play and get a decisive advantage, so if you haven't seen this one already, make sure you pause now and take a look at it because I'll give the solution. Alright, I'll assume people have paused. If not, last chance. And the best move in this position for black, starting off the correct continuation, is bishop takes on f3. And the point is that after rook takes, we go b6. And we have two ideas. One idea is that the rook is hit, and the second idea is that the queen is hit. So it's a double attack. And then after white saves their queen, we pick off the rook. Basically, that's how it works. And the only move that protects both pieces is the move queen to a3. And then against this, you have to see that you have queen to b7 with the idea of rook to a8, which will trap the bishop because of the pin along the file and the fact that the bishop has no squares. So that's the solution. So you take on f3, then you play b6, and if they play queen a3, you have queen b7, and otherwise, if they take this pawn, you just take on f3. At the beginning, it also looks very tempting in this position, instead of taking on f3, to play the immediate b6, which will win material, because it does basically the same thing, creating a double attack or a twofold attack on the knight. The difference is, though, at the end of this line, we want to take with the bishop to save our bishop from being taken. You get basically two minor pieces, knight and bishop, against a rook, which is definitely good for black, but the end of the other line, if you remember, either we're winning a full piece by, well, actually it would be the same in this. In the case of us playing rook a8 and then rook takes on a7, we're going to get the attack because the queens will still be on, so it's a better version. And in the other case here, we're simply going to be up a piece, just a clean extra piece. So you're either winning more material or you're keeping the same amount of material at the end, but you're keeping the attack because you have the queens on the board. So that's the solution to yesterday's puzzle, and now we can move on to the new stuff for today. Here it's black to play and achieve a decisive advantage. There are two ways to do it, though I would think of one as more of a tactical solution than the other. So yeah, I would say black to play and find a very strong move. There's two answers that'll be accepted. One's definitely more of a combination, which is kind of what I'm looking for. So yeah, black to play and basically win. Let's go back to the beginning of this game. It was a slow blitz game, so 10 minutes, 5-second increment. Played online, and two pretty good players. I think over the board they're both above 1800 USCF. So this one started off as a Sicilian, open Sicilian, and it's a dragon, g6. Bishop e3, bishop g7, f3, castles, queen d2, knight c6, long castles, and d5. This is, I think, as I mentioned in a previous video, yesterday even, this is the critical way for black to treat white's setup where they castle long on move 9. So it takes, this is one of the lines to take on c6, and then e5. e5 is not really a good move here. The critical line goes like this, takes, and then take, and then here, and then e5, and then bishop c5. And black's supposed to sacrifice this exchange on f8 and just go bishop e6 if I remember correctly. And there's a lot of theory here, and it's very complicated. Black has a damaged pawn structure, but they have very active pieces pointing at the queen side. Instead, e5 right away by white's not quite as good because black gets to keep the structure intact and has a good presence in the center. So after the knight moves, knight d7 in this case, f4, keeping the pawn, e6. Now black's just going to have like a really good sort of French center, but they're able to go c5 and then threaten d4 in some cases. So it's pretty reasonable for black. h4 played, going for the attack. Now c5, as I said, trying to threaten to advance the pawns. Knight to b5, rook to b8, and now white blundered with the move knight d6, which reaches our key position at the beginning of the video. Instead of knight to d6, I mean, most moves are fine here. We should point out that the knight's not actually hanging. It is protected by the bishop, and there's no immediate pressure against b2 from the diagonal because we got that pawn on e5 as white. So really the knight doesn't have to move, and it shouldn't. And if you want, you can pause the video and guess what I'm going to say here, but it's a race position, so pretty easy to figure out what white's move should be. Yeah, so whenever you're castled on opposite flanks, you should be looking to attack as quickly as possible. So the move h5 kind of calls attention to itself as a critical idea here. And now if black does challenge the knight. The knight should probably not go to d6 for tactical reasons. It goes back to a3. And yeah, I mean, white's just further ahead on this attack. And it's still pretty dangerous for black. They have to be careful. But in any case, as I said, knight d6 was played, now it's black to play and win. So if you solve it and you'd like rewards points, do check out the official link in the YouTube description. Head on over to chessuniversity.com and post your answer there. Otherwise, if you just want to solve for fun, you can share your answer in the YouTube comments, and I'll try to read those as much as possible. Otherwise, yeah, tomorrow we're back to our easy puzzles, so do check that out. If you're a beginner level player, there'll be some easier tactical puzzles coming up for the next week. And that's pretty much it for this video. I'll see everyone tomorrow. Thanks for watching.